Staying on the Apple subject for a second, Apple has been trying to sue the owner of an independent iPhone repair shop in Norway. This is close to home for me. I've spoken in the past about my previous business prior to getting started here on YouTube. I used to repair iPhones, change batteries out. It was in the early days, pre-Apple Store, at least in my region. It's one of the few places that kind of stuff took place. Apple, not cool with it these days. We covered the situation with Louis Rossmann, who was trying to import parts for his repair shop in New York. He's bumped into all kinds of issues. This one here seems similar. Apple lost its case. Yeah, this is the article here via Motherboard. Apple lost its case originally against this repair shop. They're not going to let it go. $1 trillion company. They want this man. They're not happy about it. Now, here's the gist of it. When you're doing repairs for this stuff, it's very hard to get your hands on legitimate parts. Legitimate, in other words, signed off on with a badge straight from Apple. So there is an industry in China that aims to satisfy the demand for these third-party or for these replacement parts. They are third parties themselves. So they manufacture these replacements, or they refurbish pre-existing ones for the purpose of people being able to hold onto their devices longer, repair the devices that they already have. And so shop owners like this guy go online. Maybe they link up with these suppliers via AliExpress, sites like this, and then they order the replacement parts so that they can continue to service customers via their business. You can find various things on sites like AliExpress, whether it's screens. I believe this guy was actually ordering screens. Yeah. It was 63 iPhone 6 and 6S screens that he had ordered, seized by Norwegian customs, and said that he must pay $3,566 and admit wrongdoing to avoid being sued by Apple, this individual. So as you can see here, you can order replacement screens for iPhones. Are they official? You can see that, look at the brand name on that one there, Will. Hot Truth, AAA. They're trying to tell you it's the real deal. I mean, is it the real deal? It's very similar. It might even come from the same manufacturing facility as the original part. It just doesn't have the Apple stamp on it. So this brings into the whole question, the idea, right to repair. Should you be able to repair your thing? Should you have access to parts? Should Apple make it easier? And if they don't make it easier, should you be allowed to go and buy a third-party part for it so you don't need to get a brand new phone? Like, what were the costs on those screens, by the way? Well, go back to AliExpress. I mean, you're talking about, these are lots. So 5 for $100. Wow, look at that. $12, $12 to $19. Factory LCD screen, iPhone 6S. You see what I'm saying here? If you have an iPhone 6S and you're happy with it, pick up a screen for $12. I mean, this guy was obviously probably charging more than that because he's doing the install and all the rest of it. And he was buying them in bulk as well, though. He bought 63 of these things. So they're apparently easy enough to make to charge this amount of money for. And it helps people hold on to their device a little longer, possibly create a little bit less waste, assuming they're happy with it, and so forth. You understand the concept, this idea of right to repair. Apple, they don't want to understand that concept. They lobbied against that idea, in fact, here locally with our provincial government in Ontario, but also in California. They lobbied against it. There were proposals in place to change things, to make it easier for individuals to repair their stuff themselves and also through these independent repair shops. But Apple lobbied, they got that stuff thrown out, and it never went anywhere, even though people are still trying. People are still having a conversation. In this case, this guy won. He won his case in Norway, but Apple's coming back for more. They're not happy about it. They still want him to admit wrongdoing, to stop doing what he's doing, and they just don't like the idea of these third-party repair shops. So they're going to sue this man, and they're not about to give up. I think relax if you're Apple, no? Relax. Little guy in Norway? I mean, I don't know if he's little. He might be big. He's just a guy in Norway. 63 screens. What's he doing? What's he affecting? What's he impacting? Obviously, there's a demand. There's people that are interested in his service. They're happy with their phones. They like what he's doing. That's why he's ordering up 63 displays. And they like their iPhone, presumably. They like Apple, which is the reason they're trying to repair the thing in the first place. They want to hold on to their phone. Is that so bad?
Well, for the certified Apple repair shop, is it like a long process for Apple to approve you?
Yeah, or they just don't do it in the first place. They would say, hey, in whatever geographic region, we're already happy with our
Right.
services and we don't think we need another repair shop. They could say something like that. They
Right.
might have their own store there. And also they have their own policies, which their own policies would come along with certain prices, which then could be beneficial to them because they could then convince through the repair shop, they could sort of, by consequence of having a high repair price, if they're supplying the parts, they could encourage people to just buy a new one. Right? The market doesn't then determine it. They do. So let's say their official repair screen is $200 for an iPhone 6. You're like, well, forget it, right? You need the aftermarket to come in there and say, look, maybe it's not an official part, but here's just like the car analogy we made in a previous episode. You need somebody else to be able to manufacture the alternative part. If you want the official one, go to the official place, pay the official price. But without the aftermarket supplier, it's so cost prohibitive that Apple gets to create their own situation because they control too many pieces. So they can say, hey, the official parts for the official repair shop that is certified is going to be so much that no one's going to go for it. And they're going to end up in the Apple store either way.
Right.
See, that's the problem with that mentality. So, look, this has been hot. It's a hotly debated topic, whether or not people should be able to repair their own things, if the market should support that, if the government should protect it. It's a sticky situation, but this is predatory in my mind. Here's a guy who ordered 63 screens. It's a small time deal. I know what Apple's going to say. They're going to say, hey, we let this guy go. Turns into a huge enterprise. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a weird taste. What about the 63 people that were going to get those screens? How do they feel about your brand now? How do they feel about your brand now reading this, that you're suing this guy? I mean, it goes both ways. So if I'm advising Apple and, they're not listening to me regardless, but if they wanted to, I'm saying ease up. Ease up. This is small time stuff for you. You're big time. This is small time. There's 63 people with a new screen. Let's chill out a little bit.